This presentation is brought to you by the University of Texas at Tyler's Global Business Perspectives course. Produced by Catherine Basta, Justin Foley, Sharon George, Veronica Longoria, and Andrea Moore. Determining Market Entry, the Republic of Panama. Divided into 9 provinces, Panama joins its 2 neighboring countries, Costa Rica to the west and Colombia to the east. Slightly smaller than South Carolina, Panama's defining feature is the central spine of mountains and hills that is the Continental Divide, the Cordillera de Talamanca near the Costa Rican border.
Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index gives us an indication of Panama's political stability. On a scale of 0 to 100, a score below 50 demonstrates a country failing to address corruption. As you look across the last 5 years, you can see Panama's index reflects high corruption, never scoring greater than 40. You will find that this aspect of Panama's political stability is only similar to that of Mexico. How much is Panama and its people accountable to their own laws? A second indicator of political stability, the World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index, tells us how the rule of law is experienced in practical, everyday situations by the general public worldwide. Performance is measured using 44 indicators across 8 primary rule of law factors, each of which is scored and ranked globally and against regional and income peers. Compared to the U.S., Panama has consistently operated with a weak rule of law with no signs of improvement through 2015. Panama, a younger country, declared independence from Colombia on November 3, 1903, 127 years after the United States declared independence from Great Britain. Panama is currently a presidential republic which consists of an executive, legislative, and independent judicial branch. This structure is shared by the constitutional federal republic, which comprises the U.S. political structure. Panama's current president, Juan Carlos Varela, was elected in 2014. He serves as both chief of state and head of the government in the executive branch. According to Freedom House's Freedom in the World report, Panama is a politically free country with an aggregate score of 83, 100 being most free. As you can see, over the last 10 years, Panama's political freedom has been primarily stable, but has moved to a slightly less free country in 2017 with losses in political rights as corruption is widespread in the functioning of its government.
Although Panama's population is a mere 3.7 million compared to the U.S.'s over 300 million, they are growing faster than the United States with a growth rate of 1.3% compared to 0.81%. The Panama birth rate reflects 18.1 births per 1,000 people, surpassing that of the U.S. at only 12.5 births per 1,000 people. When we look at the gender and age distribution, we see that males slightly surpass females. Of significance is the age distribution. Panama's population is much younger compared to that of the U.S.
With the help of the Panama Canal, the economy of Panama is expanding every day. Over the past decade, Panama has been one of the fastest growing economies worldwide, with an average annual growth of 7.2% between 2001 and 2013. That is more than double the regional average. The GNI per capita at PPP is lower in Panama than in the United States, but continuing to grow. Panama's growth is likely to remain one of the highest in Latin America. According to the OEC, there are prospects for high growth in the coming years and also supported by emerging opportunities for private sectors such as transport, logistics, mining, financial services, and tourism. Panama's economic freedom overall score is above average compared to the rest of the world. The financial freedom is similar to the United States over the last 10 years. Along with the economic freedom rising, the human development indicators are all rising as well. Education is very important and reasonably priced for Panamanians. After interviewing an ER physician that lived in Panama and the United States, we learned that affordable education is very important in Panama, but the living conditions are not great for the majority of Panamanians due to poverty. Only tourists and few Panamanians get to live the luxurious life Panama has to offer, according to Dr. Metcalf. The cost of living is lower in Panama than in the United States. Panama has made significant progress in reducing poverty in the recent years. Between 2008 and 2014, Panama managed to reduce poverty by 6% and extreme poverty by 2%. Panama is continuing to make progress towards two goals, which are ending extreme poverty and boosting shared prosperity. The exchange rate between the United States and Panama is the exact same. $1 is equal to 1 Panamanian Balboa. The foreign direct investments, inflows and outflows are continuing to grow over the last decade in Panama. The Panama Canal has helped the entire world with imports and exports. In 2016, Panama added a third canal to allow larger ships to be able to bring more products at one time as imports and exports. This has allowed costs of things like food to lower worldwide, since they only need one boat to import and export twice as much products. The United States may be ranked number 2 in exports, but Panama is the 114th largest export economy in the world and the 70th most complex economy according to the Economic Complexity Index. In 2014, Panama exported $4.62 billion and imported $28.5 billion. The top exports of Panama are cargo ships, refined petroleum, coal tar oil, and petroleum gas. The top export destinations of Panama are Ecuador, Guatemala, South Korea, United States, and El Salvador. The top imports for Panama are crude petroleum, refined petroleum, cargo ships, and sulfur. The top import origins are United States, Colombia, China, South Korea, and Singapore.
The social culture of the country Panama versus United States. The first couple slides talks about education. Within the education testing in Panama, they had a higher percentage in mathematics in comparison to reading and science. Education level in the United States, about overall 14% of the total population are still not educated, or they can not read or write. Moving on to the languages, Panama country, the main language spoken is Spanish, and it's also known as Panamanian Spanish. There are a couple other different languages that they speak in that country as well, in the smaller percentages. Languages in the United States varies with larger diversity as mainly spoken English, and the second largest language is Spanish, and then comes Asian and European. Moving on to the religion, Panamanian country or Panama country have a larger percentages of Roman Catholic, which is about 85%, and Protestants are the remaining. In the United States, we have a diverse percentages of the population. We have Christian, Jewish, Muslim, a lot of different diversity, and Christianity is largest. Moving on to the next section is the cultural data. Panama have a higher percentages of uncertainty, avoidance, and power distance, and the United States have a higher percentages of individualism and intelligence. Within the social culture and diversity, Panama, as mentioned earlier, it has a larger diversity within a very tiny space, and they do give their high value to their families or very cultured type of population live in this country, and they value respect a lot within their families or with any other interactions with other people. Comparing to U.S., we do have a vast diversity of people from many backgrounds as well, and America, people value a lot being very independent, and the population have a very high interest in dining out or eating out or ordering takeout majority of the times, and they can very well fit in the to-go concept, as they have a very busy lifestyle. Thank you.
In this section, we'll cover technology in Panama. Internet users per 100 in Panama is around 51, whereas the U.S. sits at around 74 users per 100. Patent applications by Panama residents is significantly lower than the U.S. Panama had 13 patent applications in 2013, and the U.S. had an astounding 285,096. Scientific papers by Panamanians is also dramatically lower than the U.S., only having roughly 157 papers published in 2013. The U.S., on the other hand, had over 412,000. R&D expenditures in Panama are extremely low. Less than 0.1% of GDP is dedicated to R&D. The U.S., however, devotes roughly 2.7% of GDP to R&D activity. Now we'll shift to environmental issues. Some environmental issues that occur in Panama are soil erosion, air pollution, deforestation. However, 79% of the population has pure drinking water. As far as the EPI score for Panama, they sit around 56.84 out of 100. Panama scores well on issues like air quality, habitat, health impacts, climate and energy, and agriculture, but scores poorly in forests, water resources, and sanitation. Health impact scores for Panama is around 71%. As you can see, U.S. sits around 95.3%. Panama also has good air quality scores, scoring 94% in 2014 and has stayed pretty steady since 2011. Water sanitation is a major issue in Panama, scoring only at around 40%, whereas the U.S. scores at around 86.48%. EPI comparisons for the two countries is relatively similar on several aspects. However, the U.S. scores relatively higher than Panama, coming in at 33 out of 178. Panama has seen a greater 10-year trend than the U.S. has, however.
Hi, thanks for sticking with us. I will briefly review the SWOT analysis for Panama and highlight the main points. Panama is uniquely situated to have strong trading via the Panama Canal. Their S&P credit rating with the their S&P credit rating is BBB with a stable outlook, which means that they are good for debt repayment. Unfortunately, they suffer from poor rule of law, and when it comes to property rights, arbitration contracts are highly recommended. They suffer from poor quality of education, which results in an inadequate skilled force. Another weakness is retail and media only under Panamanian ownership. However, you can see under opportunities, you can use a franchise opportunity to go around that. The IFC is investing in renewable energy, which is another good opportunity for FDI, and they have doubled the shipping capacity of the canal, which is opening up more opportunities. Some of their main threats are fraud and corruption, a lack of contract enforcement, which goes back again to using arbitration contracts to protect the foreign investment, inconsistent regulations, and political interference. The judicial system applies civil law, so judges are not bound by legal precedent. They are heavily influenced by Spanish law and Roman law. They have slivers of an Anglo-American law, which is very different from other Latin American countries. They joined the World Intellectual Property Organization in 1983, and that's very good news for other foreign investments because there is protection. So the U.S. also has a Panama Trade Promotion Agreement, which has strong enforcement provisions in its intellectual property rights chapter to effectively protect American intellectual property. And that concludes our segment on Panama law. Adios from Panama.